Well, it's that time of year again. Alright, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to my yearly protest of skill-based matchmaking. For everybody who's new, which actually at this point is a fair few of you, and you haven't been around the last couple years to witness this channel's poor excuse for a Christmas special, the premise for this video is very simple. Activision decided to take away Christmas Noobs, so I decided to make my own. There's really not much more to it than that. There are a surprisingly disproportionate number of players out there that genuinely believe that those of us who complain about skill-based matchmaking actually just want to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is, sit around and shoot at bots all day long. So this video is kind of me, having a little bit of fun with that concept, and also, taking the time to explain that that's not really the case. I've talked about this many times over, but the whole Christmas Noobs phenomenon is, at the very least for those of us who were like, somewhat above average at Call of Duty, it was never about this like massive influx of players who either just couldn't play, those of us who had been playing the game absolutely nonstop year round, we're gonna just sit down and absolutely thrash on them. Where are the rest of the people in this game? What the fuck? But yeah, it was never about that, Now, that's not to say that wasn't the case for some people in the community. Certainly you had your, Giga Sweats out there, or your MLG wannabes, or people who just took the game way too seriously that, yeah, absolutely, this was their time of year to just kind of shit on a bunch of noobs, and they would party up and go out of their way to just get into the absolute easiest lobbies humanly possible. But I've talked about this many times at this point. Christmas Noobs, for the vast majority of us, it wasn't about, shitting on players with no thumbs. It was more an exercise in those of us who had been playing the game since, the day came out, and we'd actually bothered to learn the maps and learn what weapons were good and, get really good with our given loadouts or our preferred weapons of choice, play styles, all that good stuff. It was a chance for us to show off what we had learned over the course of the few months that the game had been out and kind of utilize that advantage over the people who didn't have that yet. Those being the quote-unquote Christmas noobs. Because obviously if you just got a game for Christmas, whether or not you're good at FPS games or good at Call of Duty or whatever, obviously you're going to be at a disadvantage given that you don't know the maps, you don't know what weapons are good, you don't know what attachments are good, etc., etc. Obviously this is also an era like pre-J-God, pre-exclusive Ace and whatever, who's gonna tell you, exactly what the best attachments are for all of the weapons that you have, what exactly you need to run to be the most competitive with the guys in the CDL and all that good shit. So, in general, it was just a period of time where those of us who had been playing the game since day one religiously got to see a little bit of payoff for the amount of time that we'd put in to get good at the game. And, it wasn't permanent. I mean, Christmas Noobs were called Christmas Noobs for a reason. Regardless of being a Christmas noob, if you were a good player, maybe you're a Christmas noob for an hour. Or if you're a little less good, maybe you're a Christmas noob for a day. If you're a very new player, maybe you're a Christmas noob for a week. Or if you were very new, or maybe just very bad, you're a Christmas noob for a month, or maybe even longer, who knows? But the point, again, is that, this was never an exercise in those of us just absolutely trashing on players who were nowhere near as good as us. It was just those of us who had an informational, tactical, and, straight up practice advantage, getting to exercise that advantage against players who didn't have that. And honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. Obviously gaming's like way different nowadays, and people think a lot less about getting a game day one than they did back when I was younger, because basically everybody gets it day one, mostly due to like digital downloads and shit, but also, it's more so the norm to have a game day one, whereas back when I was playing like COD 4 and even like Modern Warfare 2 and stuff, it was much less normal to have a game the instant it came out versus, getting it for Christmas or getting it some time after it came out because like somebody got it for you for a gift or whatever. Even though Call of Duty was like a yearly phenomenon, it still wasn't like super normal to have the game the absolute instant it came out and get to level 55 or whatever the cap was immediately and start prestiging and whatnot. So on some level, yeah, the lack of Christmas Noobs is a little bit of a cultural shift from the way things used to be, but at the end of the day, we can't ignore the skill-based matchmaking portion of it. I am positive that the people who are actually good at Call of Duty that have just decided to, wait until Christmas to actually bother to pick the game up are probably going to be having a field day right about now just because they're going to be getting to, trash on all the players that are not so good, but they're stuck in the same skill-based matchmaking bracket as them, and they're, essentially trashing on players that are just learning how to play their first FPS or whatever. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it's quite good either. And obviously the other thing that's going to be incited around this time of year are the, people who decide to VPN into those Christmas noob lobbies and, start flooding your sub boxes with those OMG just dropped a nuke in the most hardcore shipment 24/7 lobby you've ever seen. Meanwhile, the quote-unquote most hardcore shipment lobby is actually just a bunch of people who have absolutely no idea how to shoot back at you or read their minimap or look at a UAV or anything like that. And, they drop a double nuke when the reality is they're a 1.05 KD player or whatever. There are an obnoxious number of people grinding views off of those kinds of videos this time of year, and I'll be honest, that kind of stuff actually does bother me, because that really is a symptom of skill-based matchmaking. I've talked about many times, I am an advocate of reverse boosting, as far as taking advantage of a system that's working correctly. But what I mean by reverse boosting are the people who, sit in the back of a lobby with Molotovs and rack up 300-400 deaths a game so that they end up with a 0.01 KD. That I see no problem with, because that to me is, a problem with the skill-based matchmaking system just being exposed exploited. But when it comes to like 2-boxing or VPNing, you know, I'm really not a fan of that kind of stuff because as far as I'm concerned, you know, that is directly against TOS, so obviously you shouldn't be doing it. I'm not an advocate of cheating to get a competitive advantage or, you know, doing these like cheesy tactics to get a competitive advantage. I'm an advocate of doing these things to expose a system that's not working correctly. And while yeah, VPNing or 2-boxing is technically doing that, even if this were a competitive game, it's still technically against TOS, so I'm really not gonna recommend it, just because I don't think it's fair and I don't think it's fun. Oh my gosh, guys, I just dropped a nuke in Holiday Shipment 24/7. Drop a like right now if you enjoyed that epic gameplay against players that were totally at my actual level of skill. Sorry, I'm trying to cosplay all the VPNers that are dropping nukes this time of year. It's called a mass guided bomb? What? I actually died 17 times. I feel like that's kind of pathetic on some level. Anyways, to be honest, I'm not really even sure if I got my point across. I mean, like I've said before, this video and really just kind of my rantings about skill-based matchmaking, you know, Christmas noobs and whatnot in general, it's really just me along with a lot of people around my age being cursed with the memory of how things used to be. Obviously, there's that like meme image that gets shared around all the time about, you know, Treyarch openly acknowledging Christmas noobs in Black Ops 2 and like, you know, saying that we should take it easy on them even though they know we won't and whatnot. What the fuck just happened? I just like fell out of the map. What? As much of a meme as it is, it's kind of sad to see the, you know, shift in obviously corporate tone, but also just gaming in general where, you know, it's almost like we're not allowed to reward people for getting good at a game anymore. I mean, obviously this is a competitive game and like some people being better than others is definitely going to impact the experience of those who are like less skilled or have less time to put in. And again, like I was saying earlier, it's not that these people were never going to get good or never figure the game out. It was just a couple days, a week, maybe longer depending on how good or bad you were, how quickly you pick things up, but that period of time where those of us who had put in that amount of time and that work to get better at the game, we had that advantage and we were allowed to exploit it and we got to see the results in our leaderboard performance. Like, I don't know, maybe this is me being archaic or way too old school as far as gaming goes because, I don't know, according to the game journalists out there, my way of thinking about multiplayer gaming is archaic, I guess, but I don't know, I feel like that was a fun reward for those of us who bothered to put in that extra time for this game and franchise that we all really love. Man, is it just me or the bots in this game actually pretty good? I feel like when I put the Vanguard bots on Recruit, I dropped like 5 nukes without even bothering to try. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm just preaching at a brick wall at this point. I mean, skill-based matchmaking is here to stay. Christmas noobs are essentially a relic of the past, and those of us who remember it, I mean, we can think back on it fondly, obviously, but that's about all we're gonna get to do because I don't really see it coming back anytime soon. Maybe depending on what weapons I'm running around with here and there, I'll, you know, do bad enough every so often that I'll run into a lobby with a few people who aren't level 250. But like I said last year, and I don't know, probably the year before, I don't really remember how many times I've said this, but those feelings I used to get back in middle and high school of, you know, Christmas coming around and me knowing that I was gonna have a whole bunch of fun. What the fuck is happening? Hello? Hell, I'm just trying to reminisce about high school, man. I don't really need to be glitching out of maps and shit. But yeah, those feelings I used to get when I was a kid, knowing that me and my friends had a whole bunch of fun lobbies waiting for us between now and New Year's and beyond and all that good stuff. It's just a sad thing to know those days are never coming back, you know? It's like knowing your favorite candy flavor has been discontinued and it's never gonna be in stores again. It's a memory you can think back on fondly, but that's about it. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Like I said, for all you who are new, this is just my little Christmas special that I do every year. My yearly protest of skill-based matchmaking, if you will. Yo, will my character look at the fucking camera? I'm trying to record an outro here. Hello? Regardless, I hope everybody had a good holiday. Whatever holiday it is that you celebrate, or I don't know, if you don't celebrate any holiday, I hope you at least had some time off to game or whatever. Lord knows I didn't. I'm a busy motherfucker, but at least I tried to enjoy myself. And of course, as always, if you did enjoy this video, definitely make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to come back for more content. That's about it. I'll see you guys in the next one.